Hello and welcome back to the ESL ESEA Dubai Invitational. The sun has set quite a while ago. We are here with the marina behind us, the skyscrapers in front of us, and still some members of the audience soldiering through late into the night. Has been a bit of a switch around on the desk. I'm joined now by Moses and Jason Kaplan. Thanks, guys, for turning up. And for moving around just so we kind of go down in high order. In fact, no.
No,
not quite.
I'm going to be the shortest no matter what we do.
I mean,
Don't
I think
worry
you look
about
nice in the middle. It suits you.
Thanks.
I also have to say salmon is your color. I honestly, truly think it.
Is this salmon?
Is it salmon?
Thought it was pink.
It's not white.
Pretty sure it's just pink.
I don't know. There's like 1,000 different types of pink. But anyway, salmon and
Periwinkle?
pink. Periwinkle? Is that a pink?
I don't know.
We'll go with periwinkle. So Jason and Jason, we're going to dissect what we've got coming up. It's going to be pretty spectacular because Titan up against NaVi. Again, we've talked about this French shuffle. We talked about what happened when Titan and NV kind of meshed. It's a fair summation to say that NV most definitely have come out the better from this so far, Moses.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, easily. Especially early on. But, I mean, this is a team that we knew coming in, we're going to have to see how Existence is going to mold this team. We know it's going to take time. We know he's going to have to learn how to fit in players that, you know, like Shocks, where it's well documented. He doesn't want to fit into that defined system. So I mean, it's going to take a little bit for them to work out all the kinks and how they're going to work as a squad from there. So they were definitely going to have the longer route to success than Envy was.
I still feel like they have the whole work around a player kind of feel to them, like when they have with Kenny S to the team. Like they're always working around that man on the op. Like you have Shocks who can go insane at any given time. RPK, who actually really stood out in boot camping right before ESL 1 Clone kicked off. Existence has always been a strong player, but it seems like they haven't found their strategy, like their synergy between themselves to really work well as a team. Well,
the beauty of having that now with Shocks as that player that they're sent around instead of Kenny S is with the op nerf, it's much harder to be an aggressive opper.
Right.
So, I mean, Shocks can do things with the AK that just Kenny with the AWP just couldn't do, not for any lack of talent, obviously, just because the way the mechanics of the weapon work since that change kind of diminished how much he could carry.
I feel like Smiths has been struggling a little bit too, because I'm thinking back to like the Very Games era when they were back at DreamHack in 2013, I think it was. When he was with Very Games, he was a phenomenal opera. I'm thinking of some Mirage maps off the top of my head, but he hasn't been able to hit that same stride. Obviously, the op's been changed around a little bit. He hasn't needed to as much back in Envious, but it just seems like if maybe steps up a little bit more in terms of the opping role, it could change maybe a little bit more of the way they play.
It does feel like we are kind of taking its side when we talk about Titan. It does feel like everything we say has got a little bit of a kind of kick to it, because it does kind of results have shown that Titan have looked lackluster. I think that's fair to say. They were, of course, like the 8th team coming here to the major. We've seen them with performances where we get excited. I mean, we saw them in the offline qualifier, and they looked pretty competent. I mean, we saw them managing to get through without too many stumbles, without too many trip-ups. You know, and teams like Dignitas not making it. So there definitely is ability there in that roster, and there's no denying that.
The tough part about Titan is, for me at least, when I watch them, they're that team with Existence leading them where you're just like, you can see these tactics and these strategies start to develop, and you're just like, this looks so awesome in theory, and then at some point during the application, it just falls apart. But like, you're just like, everything they're doing should work, and it just crumbles at the last minute, and it's just so crushing to watch.
Yeah, I was talking to Vendetta just before, and I was like, right, what do you think? Because we were just talking about the next games, and he was like, so I have no justification for this, but I'm a Titan fanboy, and I think that's kind of what you just said.
Yeah, we had this discussion last night, and it's just unbelievable. You're just at times you're just like, no, please work. Please. But no, we're just watching it fall, and it's tough. But I mean, yeah, they're an easy team to be a fan of because you know, if you're a fan of tactical Counter-Strike, you have Existence, who's one of the best, and then if you're a fan of just raw ability and aim, they have a guy like Shocks, who is just you could watch just him, and he's going to do something cool for you.
The thing is, they've always been a team that's like been on the border of really breaking through, whether it was this roster or the roster before. You think back to all the majors they played and they struggled to get out of the group stage. I don't think they've done it a single time as, the current kind of form. You always want to see them win. There's always like these sparks of shimmers of great, performance out of them, but they just can't seem to make it consistent. They seem to always hit this brick wall. I guess seeding has never been kind to them as well when they come into group stages for events. You want to see them do well, and they can. Just the problem is they haven't been able to hit that stride yet.
And on the other side of things, of course, the other end of the coin, we have got a little stuck on that French side. NaVi, of course, their opponents going into this one, a team who I own a NaVi shirt, just going to make that clear. I quite like only the jersey. I'm not biased or anything.
Sure.
I do, however, think we need to talk about them a little bit. So,
is it the shirt you wear to bed at night?
No, it's not a bed shirt, no.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the most comfortable thing. So that's going to chase me now. What have I done? But anyway, NaVi jerseys aside, let's talk about that roster, because we have some real stars. A lot of people claiming Guardian is the #1 AWPer in current CSGO, and alongside him, there's 4 other individuals who you really have to fear. For you, Moses, when you see these 5 players now setting up on stage, would you say there's a heavy favorite lying on that side?
I wouldn't say a heavy favorite, because I don't think NaVi in their recent form has been particularly impressive. They have better results, obviously, and yeah, they are the favorites, but I wouldn't say it's a heavy favorite. It comes down, you know, they have ever since they got Flamey, they've kicked it into a new gear, so how's he going to play? He's just a huge impact player, very, very talented. Zeus has been playing very well lately. So, I mean, they have a lot of good things going for them, and they should, on paper, you know, that they're the ones that I would choose to win this match, but I think that we've started to see a little bit of them slip just a tad bit. In recent form.
And speaking of slipping, like I'm looking over their past results when it came to ESO and Cologne 2015, and they didn't get through the group stage easily. They had to get a win against COG 16-14, then a 19-17 victory versus Titan, and they lost to Fnatic 2-16 on Inferno. Like, it's not been easy for them at all, and Flamey and Guardian, the 2 real men you kind of look at in terms of op and just raw aiming power, they really struggled at that event. Like, Flamey had a .76 KD up against Envious in their quarterfinals. That's something you can't have a man like that do on your team.
Guardian's actually struggled individually a lot recently. I mean, he's had some really good performances, but ever since I think it was Cbble LAN, that MLG Cbble LAN, you know, he had kind of a bad event there when they lost to Virtus Pro, and ever since then, he has struggled more than I think he's had the success that we know he can do. So he's going to have a big game, and a lot of that as well is stabilizing the economy. And I know it's kind of, we always bring up the economy in Counter-Strike, but for a team that has an AWPer at his level, they want to get that in his hands, and they need to have the money behind it. Now, that being said, Guardian's probably the best AWPer in the world at also using a rifle, so it's not a huge detriment, but that AWP is what you know, he's going to use to have the biggest impact on the game.
Yeah, for sure. And on a map like Cbble, we haven't touched too much on that. Let's try and say that 6 times fast. But it's one of those interesting ones where we've seen some AWPs struggle, and I feel guilty, but you know, Kenny S's recent performance at the major on that very map, sometimes AWPs can get locked out of Cbble. Do you think that's going to be too detrimental towards NaVi? I mean, you just said that he can play the rifle comfortably.
Yeah. I think one thing we also need to look at in terms of using the AWP is that we see a lot of the top teams now being able to use double AWP set up really proficiently. Like you look at Envious in particular, you have Kenny who can use the AWP. If he's not feeling too keen on it that day, all right, Happy can pick it up and do just as well. Guardian, I feel like he's just on such a different level of anyone else on his team in terms of AWPing potential. It kind of forces him to always have to AWP and always have that pressure on him. And it makes things a little bit extra difficult, especially on a map like Cobblestone, where you know if he's going to be in middle or towards B, he needs to be landing those shots.
Yeah, and the key as well to AWPing on Cbble is, you know, if you can put an AWP over towards the B bomb site to watch the platform at times. But other than that, both of the bomb sites are easily blockable. If teams get in there quick enough, they can smoke off choke points, and then your AWP has to play really far back, go for a pick. He's got to have an opponent give something to him. It's very hard to make something happen retaking a bomb site with an AWP. He's got to make sure his rotations are on point, so he gets set up and grabs the angle while the hit is coming in. I mean, these are choke points, especially if he's rotating back over towards that A site, that you get blocked off quickly. So there's a lot of things AWPing on Cbble that are pretty interesting.
So that's something we'll definitely keep an eye on. That's actually a lot of good points. They're thinking about that kind of flexibility, because Cbble is always one of those maps where you see a whole lot of fakes. And I think that's something we've been seeing a whole lot across just general CSGO as of late. But I mean, Cbble, whenever I'm casting, whenever I'm watching it play out, you always see these Hollywood style trying to sell the fake as best as they can as the other team kind of crawls to the site. So rotations is something we'll keep an eye out for.
It's very Cash-esque in terms of you can throw smokes at the B site and then have people already ready towards the A site to hit. It's kind of very similar in that kind of route. I guess Inferno as well kind of falls in that kind of category. I think it comes down to the B platform. I feel like every game on the T side is made or broken by that platform control. If you can hit those shots, if you can get the smoke control, I feel like most teams typically hit the B side and leave A pretty much open. Yeah,
that's the thing. You see a lot of teams that have success on Cbble. They're teams that are very good at quickly taking control over towards A, whether they get into halls and they clear it out. You want to have that map control in case you do need to fall back towards A. You want to keep the defenders at A honest so they can't just stack B. And then, yeah, if you can keep them honest, keep 2 players there, and you can find a one-on-one duel coming off that B platform. And we see, I mean, Olaf kind of, you know, was the first one to really have a lot of success there. When he really started hitting his stride, he was just dominant coming off B platform. We've seen other players, you know, start to mold that as well.
It certainly does feel like with platform, just kind of running off that point, it does feel like the best way and the most successful attacks on towards B are the ones where you have a player who can just walk out to platform and get the entry. Like, that seems to be, like, they walk through smoke, they throw themselves a flashbang, and that is the strategy. That seems to be where it's at.
It makes things really easy if you have a player who can just walk out there and get a kill for you pretty consistently. it's very nice to have on your team.
The thing is, if you're Opper in that position as well, like in Chicken Coop, like if you miss that shot, well, you're not going to really have a chance for a second. It's not going to be very easy. So if you have someone like Olaf Meister who can maybe make them miss the first shot by using his own smokes that his team gives them to his advantage, then you have like a very easy take on as long as you can control like the close range fights.
Well, I mean, I love that we are talking about like examples of what to expect on Cbble, and we're using other players. Like, who is going to be doing that on Titan? Who's going to be doing that on NaVi? I mean, I think Flamey is a really good point, and I think that's something you made already, that he has been a really, really strong addition to NaVi. He actually fitted in quite quickly to that roster.
Well, the interesting thing about Cbble is where I'm going to just give NaVi the edge on this map is Titan being a newer roster. You know, this is a map they might not have practiced as much, might not have as much experience on. You know, it takes some effort to get good on this map. And a lot of it's going to depend, like what Shox is going to show up, because you want to talk about a player who can just easily get you a man advantage. It's someone like Shox who can just wander around the map and just absolutely just walk up and find you a kill, and he's the player who's going to need to come up big. And obviously they had the help of, you mentioned it, RPK had a fantastic match just recently. I think he had like 40 kills on it. And interestingly enough, I've had like a little birdie from Titan tell me that after the major, Shox came back and was just extremely motivated, sat down, deathmatching, studying the game. Ooh. I know I've heard he's been helping RPK out, try and get to that next level, because he needs a sidekick. He needs a sidekick who can help him, you know, carry some of these matches. And, you know, that tutelage seemed to be paying off with his sick game out of RPK.
I think that's the Maniac effect, too, on the team. Like, whenever you talk to this man, he's always positive, he's always energetic and really getting into the game. And now that he's full-time, he has the opportunity to sit down, look at where they're really struggling as a team, and really work on those points. Well,
let's find out then. I think it most definitely is time. A reminder before we do head to a very quick break about the theScore eSports application. Head over and pick that one up on your mobile and on your device, and you can basically access both a highlight of today, if you want to get a recap of today, what's coming up tomorrow, and much more. Not just for this event, but for a whole lot of CSGO events as well. So do be sure to head over, check that one out on iOS and Google Play. For now, though, we're going to head to a very quick break, and when we're back, it's going to be time for NaVi going up against Titan.
Welcome back, ladies and gents, and we are getting ourselves ready for that final game of the day. I know it's been quite some time, but we are here now, and I'm joined by Vendetta. So we can start kind of breaking down the game. I think the desk had a fair good go at that one, so they've covered a lot of the topics, but let's at least go into Cbble. We know that's the map coming up here. These two teams going head-to-head. Who's got the favor on this one? I think there's a clear answer, but still, what do you think of it in this matchup?
I think, you know, especially given how the first Titan game went today versus Fnatic on this very map, NaVi has to be the favorite going into this game. So I don't want to count Titan, you know, out of this by any means, because obviously they still went forward with it. They weren't scared by their performance versus Fnatic. They probably
There's
realized
still some confidence there.
Exactly. They probably realized that, you know, we had some flaws. They're easily fixed, so we can still go forward with this map.
And they've had enough time to talk it through now. They are the last game of the day, so they've certainly had time to sit down, maybe have a chat through what went wrong, maybe just think about it and talk it out. And it's something that this team does on a fairly regular occurrence, but I'm not too sure what the initial issues were throughout that game, but we're going to see if they can re-emerge in this one, see if they are a problem going forward. But on paper, excluding, you know, the possibility of Titan turning up like monsters, because they do have that possibility as well. There's a lot of talented guys in that team. There's no disputing that. But on paper, what sort of scoreline are we looking at here? Because you've got to assume it's NaVi's win.
Depending on what side both teams starts on, I think it's a reasonable expectations to see something like a 16-10, 16-11 in NaVi's favor.
Well, let's find out. We are ready for the knife round now, so we're going to find out which side they start on and who's going to get maybe a little bit more favor on their preferred side.
And Maniac starting off with knifing Shox.
Good start there. Good start. Maybe not ideal, but still, 2 of them left for both sides, and it looks like Navi's got in. There we go. Navi will get the side of choice. We've had this actually. I've had this discussion with several different analysis. Which side do you think is favored currently, or do you think it's completely team dependent?
I think it's slightly team dependent, but I would rather start on the T side. Simply not because I necessarily feel it's a way stronger side than the CT side, and that's where you're supposed to get most of your rounds. But I think you can really break your opponent more easily because a lot of people have the mentality that CT side should be the spot where you pick up rounds. But you see so many teams doing an exceptional job of picking teams apart. You see Fnatic doing it extremely well. You saw it earlier today, and pretty much in all the Cbble games we've seen, even Envious versus Cloud9, you can see how well the various sides perform on their T sides.
Well, we've already heard on the desk there that the AWPers are a big factor into this. There's no disputing that, especially Guardian. He's the man that stands out above the rest. Is this a map where you think he's going to be able to have that performance? Or do you think maybe he's going to be a little bit quieter here? Because he's had outstanding moments. You see him on Dust too, like an absolute beast. It's something that you just don't want to face. But on here, do you think he's got that room to shine?
I do, especially on the CT side where he's allowed to kind of roam around that A-bomb site, go aggressively in A-apps, potentially take the early pick in mid. That type of thing, that definitely gives him an opportunity to shine. The problem for me with Guardian right now is the fact that he has been in a bit of a slump.
A little quiet.
Yeah, so, we're not talking for a long while. We're talking maybe like the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So he's not been the same Guardian that we've come to expect. Same kind of thing that Kenny went through after the op changes. So, yeah, that's kind of what worries me about Guardian. But I think that's a very good thing for Titan because they're in a situation where they don't have the same offer.
Alrighty, let's keep that in mind going forward. Of course, we'll be starting out with Na'Vi on the CT side, T side being Titan. And we can see Zeus already up with the CZ there. And these guys just playing it calm. Titan on the T side, not really rushing things, but looking towards drop so far.
Yeah, full armor as well. So they're just going to man up here.
They're just going to go man mode, try and maybe train through, but they're going to be caught in a bit of a crossfire in this one, but they do break out of it. Maniac and RPK find Zeus and Guardian, so kind of keeping their options open, and A's looking rather vulnerable. C's the only player here. Gonna have to go to work with that P2K. He's gonna find one. That's Maniac down. He's slowing these boys down. That's great. But can the rest of the forces from Na'Vi do anything? Edward certainly does. That's RPK down, but he's left in a 1v3. Bomb being planted. No chance of coming back in, and Titan pick it up.
Yeah, so not an unusual pistol round from Titan by any means, and the entire round pretty much lives or dies whether or not RPK and Maniac picks up those 2 frags. Because as soon as the rotation comes in from Na'Vi, they have to answer right then and there. And you can see, as soon as those 2 frags come in Titan's favor, it's so easy to just overman Seized on that A-bomb site. So great start for Titan. Definitely I think that it's needed for them because they are a team that if they get off to a slow start, they can definitely, not necessarily tilt, but they can definitely have a hard time getting into it again.
Well, 3 rifles purchased. Shocks and RPK, the 2 to go with that Mag Daddy, but Caesar's lurking in the depths, and Guardian already going to find Maniac. That's massive. I think he was boosted there up in towards drop, but let's see what Caesar can do in this situation. He's in a good spot here. No one's really pushing through that lower side, so he could catch out Smiths, and I think he actually does. Yeah, Smiths goes down, and that was one of the rifles. So Caesar will get a rifle, and that's absolutely perfect to begin with. Zeus is still there, and it looks like Titan's starting to dwindle on this one, and they're going to be in trouble if they don't make this cross perfectly.
Yeah, the entire Na'Vi team is rotated as well, so you can see Na'Vi just picking up frag after frag here, and all of a sudden it's Existence alone. He's up against 3 players here. Well, make that 2.
He's certainly doing work with what he's been given. Just a little bit of armor, of course, head armor there, but no utility to his name. Maybe having a look around there, seeing if he can find something. They know where the bomb is. He's just going to go, just throw caution to the wind, and it will be Zeus to pick it up. Na'Vi really shaking things up from the start then, and just some really vital starts. Guardian picking up 1, and then it was Seized as well. So picking up those rifles so early on. Oh
yeah, definitely helped. And by the fact that Guardian is able to get boosted up, get that pick onto Maniac, that's probably the biggest thing because it allowed him to clear the area, and you could instantly see all of Na'Vi rotating over towards that A-bomb site. And with Titan not having an immediate response, they kind of got trapped. So they never really got onto site properly with a lot of people, got stuck towards the A-apps, and Na'Vi were just able to crunch them in. And that's unfortunate because this is way worse than actually just losing the pistol outright. Because now your money's shaking, and obviously you're not going to feel good because that is a round you're supposed to win.
Smaller issues now being made a bigger one for Titan, but they do have the Tech-9s, they've got the armor there, they've got a fair bit of utility, so clearly looking to make something out of this round, but considering how many rifles we saw Na'Vi get away, you've still got a Glil out in play in this one, the MAC-10 with Flamey there. They're sitting fairly pretty themselves, so this is going to be a very tough task for Titan to break back in towards. They've got 57 seconds to make something out of it. It looks like they're going to head towards that A side. It's going to be seized just to get mowed down. Existence is going to find that. Guardian quickly tries to peer through the door, but not going to find any luck there. Hot Flash comes out. Doesn't catch anyone. He actually gets caught in one, and he's fully blinded. Smith will make the most of it, and now down to 3. Back and forth we go. Somehow Titan make this one stick. But Flamey has at least recovered the M4. Going to try and play on the retake, and he has at least found one. 2v3 though, Edward and Flamey still looking for their options. Bomb is down and RPK finds Flamey. It's just down to Edward. Position is known. And where are those two final players? You've got Shox buying time. Smith's doing the same. This is so tough for Edward. He's just caught in between a rock and a hard place. It's almost impossible in this.
Well, it pretty much is, because it's an open plant, so if Shoxy doesn't, well, pretty much sell himself short and give up his life for no reason, he could always hop by when Edward eventually has to try to defuse, but they're not going to successfully take him out on their own, but they win the round, so they bring it back. Edward holding on to a Galil, it's not going to be the biggest thing in this round.
No, and he ended up kind of switching out for the M4, sadly. But they did at least, try and make a play of it. They got the round in the end. That's the important thing, considering they just purchased those Tech 9s. I think there was head armor in there and a fair bit of utility. So the purchase they went for, clearly paying off, but 2-1 already. Titan looking like they mean business. Maniac sticking with the Mac 10, maybe going to drop himself towards drop, maybe just keep a little close towards B.
Yeah,
already.
I don't think they're expecting the force spike coming in from NaVi, given how they bought so many holds.
Zeus gets taken down, but there's no one else actually on this A site yet. If they'd gone quick off the back of that, they could have really made something, but NaVi gambling towards that B site early on.
Yeah, and that's actually the same setup we used in the previous round, except this time Zeus went aggressive, because obviously he got caught off in that previous round. Slightly surprised to see NaVi actually favoring the B bomb site that heavily when they make that kind of a gamble, but I guess that also might be the reason why, because they feel like if they want to have a shot at winning this round with limited weapons, they just have to go all in on one bomb site. And right now it seems that this could be working very well for them.
Yeah, at least one player did end up rotating, but Flamey's going to manage to find Maniac. There we go, there's the double coming through, and this little bit of a shoddy buy from NaVi's paying off pretty darn well so far. 3 players left standing for the T-side as RPK's going to hop down, find Guardian. Now Zeus sadly doesn't have a great deal to work with there, just that CZ and a little bit of body armor. He's trying to do some damage, but it's Edward who's got the gun. He comes through the double doors, he slowed it down, but now it's down to one man. Zeus actually made it work. He's going to get away, try and maybe get a gun on those doors, but surely Shox knows this. Bomb is going down. Zeus not yet getting the gun to his hands. Finally gets it. No ammo left though. Needs to reload, and Shox is just around the corner. Shox is going to take the chance, and he does pull it off. But Titan, that was an expensive round for them then.
It was super expensive, and I'm really surprised by the fact that they opted to commit to the B bomb site before actually having at least one guy figuring out what's going on that A bomb site, because they pick up C's pretty early. So yeah, it's fair to assume that the NaVi are going to have someone rotate over to the A bomb site, but Titan are leaving it a lot up to chance, and you don't want to do that when you've already seen, shown that you're a bit shaky going up against, force spies from NaVi.
And NaVi have just completely stacked out this A side.
Yeah.
No one by B. Maybe hope just even catch us on lurking around. Anything they can salvage from this one, but they do have a couple of Deagle, a Deagle, a couple of P250s, not much more, and it looks like Titan should be able to get away with this one pretty cleanly if they do commit towards this side.
Yeah, unless they get into their own heads and think like, oh, they must be hiding somewhere here, so let's go back to A. This should be okay.
They should be. Existence is already being the brave man out first. Just going to be leading the charge. RPK is going to get the bomb dropped down towards him.
And Shox already holding the potential backstab here, so Titan are looking very, very good in this situation. Yeah. Right now, it's all about not losing too many weapons.
Thoroughly aware of what could be waiting, but Shox gets caught completely unaware. Zeus will get the Mac 10 for himself, maybe hoping for a little more, but it could be worse. Doesn't have any armor. We saw they didn't purchase any to this round, so it's going to be very difficult, but he does manage to even catch the heals there. I think that's RPK dashing in towards the window and drop. And there we go. RPK will make the most of that rifle. Watching them drop in. The retake does begin. A little bit of damage, but it doesn't really matter about the damages right now. It looks like Titan have had that fairly clean round. Guardian still trying to put that Mech 10 to use, not going to have any luck. And Edward going to sit this one out, and Titan keeping it very clean this round, and they needed that after the previous.
Yeah, they definitely did. And still not a big fan of them just walking into side completely without information as to what's going on the other part of the map. But, luckily for them, it worked out with the stack from NaVi being in mid. But this is, where the real game starts. Guardian's finally got an op in his hands. It's a glass cannon, though, and that could be an issue because we know that Titan are heavy, they really like using nades.
Yes, they do. They certainly do, and they've got a hell of a lot of them to put to good use in this. Guardian was playing by long. He's taking a peek out towards A, not actually seen anything. There is a player taking their time there, but it's Titan once again utilizing drop, getting right between them. And actually, look at this in the right place with the SMG still. Existence does go down. That's C's finding it, but Zeus gets pulled back in. And now RPK comes into the action. They're starting to get the kills, but no, it's traded out. It's a 3v2 as finally NaVi lock it down as they break through. As Guardian cannot land the shot. Smith denies it, and now C's left in a 1v2 situation. Bomb is loose. I'm not sure if he saw the bomb just yet. He might have caught a glimpse, but he's just around the back of them here. He could catch out one. Doesn't take the shot, plays it calm, maybe looking to find out where the other player is. Sees him again, now this is perfect. He's got to know there's another player here. He does. Flashes out, doesn't catch Shox. He's gonna hear those footsteps. Sees, knows what's going on here. Not gone for the reload yet, hoping to catch him out. But there we go. Shox is pretty much free on this one. Bomb should go down.
Yeah, no flashes for the retake for C, so that might be an issue. Shoxy actually playing this really scared. He's expecting Cease to just come running after him as soon as he hears the bomb plant, but Cease just playing it cool.
Yeah, playing it calm, but that's Shox. You can still always count on that man to land some ridiculous headshots like that. His aim certainly not letting him down in that instance, so even he was a little kind of cautious, a little hesitant on that straight-up plant, maybe expecting Cease to come barreling through.
Yeah.
Did pull it off in the end. But NaVi now 1-5. It's starting to look a little shaky. We saw that big gun round coming in. Not much came from it.
No, nothing at all, pretty much. Well, I guess it did go down to a 1v1 situation, but you know, at this stage of the game, NaVi really needs to start getting round on the boards. And Titan, their initial idea behind what they wanted to do, which is split A, it worked out in the end because Smits was able to open up that A side with that kill onto Guardian with the late lurk.
Well, this time, maybe Titan not going to have such an easy walk out towards B. There is a bit of a stack here. Guardian's already gone down. That may ring alarm bells, knowing that he's been playing on towards A by long. But then again, what can they do with this? Flamey's found existence, and now Edward's going to have the opportunity to do the same thing. He's going to find RPK, but that's it. Shox finally makes it out from drop. He does pick up at least one there and does support on the other. So 3 players left standing, and it just looks like Titan is starting to get into the flow of things now.
Yeah, Titan are really starting to feel it. Even though they're losing a couple of members here and there, I think they're at the stage where, well, they don't really have to worry about it. That's really a nice place to be for your T-side team. And you can see NaVi already feeling, a bit of pressure here. They actually take the time out after they bought up as well.
Strange.
So they definitely want to figure out something to do differently. Then I guess the weird thing for them is that a lot of the rounds they've had have been pretty poor buys. So they don't really have a good idea of what Titan wants to do in a default round. So it's hard to kind of predict how you want to set up for it. And the reason they lost, the A sides a couple of times is because they had Cease playing alone, and that's extremely hard. And well, the times Titan have gone towards B, it's pretty much Ben versus Ecos. So yeah. I think, obviously you don't want to make the deficit too big, but I still think NaVi doesn't really have that much to go on to take this time out.
We're going to have to see what they can make up. That's the thing here, how much can they really find out from this? What sort of, ideas have they come up with so far? Have they been able to ready into this? They must surely already know how Titan like to play to some degree, but then, it's, as you said, they've not had much real proof as to what's been going wrong in the gun rounds, but they've had maybe 2 real tries at it with a full-ish buy at best.
Yeah.
And, well, so far, we've not really seen Guardian been tested. He's been caught out maybe once or twice. He's been, either the guy soloing out on long gets caught out by them, finally pushing up there, or kind of getting caught in between connector. It's been a little bit unpredictable for them. I'm kind of hoping that they don't, haven't called this a little too early. We're going to have to find out what they come up with in this break. And if you're in their shoes and you did call out, a bit of a timeout this early into it, is there anything you could initially read in? Is there something that maybe Titan's showing that they need to stop instantly, or is it just far too early?
For me, it's still too early, but I guess Titan have shown a fondness for the drop zone. Not necessarily that they've, made a concerted choice as to what bomb site they want to go, depending on whether or not they use the drop zone, but that's definitely a point where NaVi can cut off a lot of potential threats from Titan, whether it be a late lurk or just being, having 3 Titan members drop down there.
All right, here we go. This is the first real test for Guardian. Not going to open this one up perfectly. Smith was there on the other side of things. C's taken over control by long. There is 2 players considering their options, and Edward's going to get caught out here. He's smartly put that smoke underneath his feet and extinguishes that Molotov and gets out fairly unscathed. But still, this is a little bit more different from NaVi. They're trying to take some control towards platform. They're putting Edward up there. They're not letting them get control of B too early on. But it does look like Titan is starting to eye up that B site eventually.
But I like this from NaVi. It kind of gives them a bit of a heads up before an eventual Titan attack comes. And that's what they're trying to do in the mid as well, just trying to get information early so that they don't get caught off guard. And there you go, Edward starting off, picking off Maniac, but Smith's just going to return right away. So 4-on-4 situation here, and Titan are committing to B.
Yeah, they are, but Zeus again has the opportunity. That flash really didn't help out Titan to them too much, as RPK did go down. But still, there's Flamey waiting patiently on this side. That Molly's going to kick in. He's going low. He's got to make a move here. And there we go. There's another put down. He finally gets picked up by Existence and Smiths, both just roasting him alive as Guardian finally has that opportunity to make that AWP sing, but only finds one towards Shox. Does deny the plant, so the bomb is loose. Now, C's will know this. And Existence, last man standing. C scored a glimpse. That's vital. 20 seconds left. Existence going to take the longer route here. Going to play it safe. Try and collect that bomb unscathed. Not going to have the chance of the shot. Oh, seized. Peeks back out. Gets the AWP as well for Guardian. And nicely played at the end from NaVi.
Yeah, massive round for NaVi. That's really what they needed. And it's kind of funny. I was talking to Moses about this, you know, how there's seems to be a connection between teams taking time out and then winning the upcoming round. I don't really, there's not really anything very different that NaVi did that round to spur them to a victory, except C's, you know, actually clutching that 1v1.
Oh,
but apparently that's just the way to go for him.
This could be huge. Guardian finally was in the right place at the right time, at least at the beginning of these rounds. Two players pushing up by long here, but he's had to back away. That early flash just gave him control, but he's going to catch a glimpse of them crossing over. Perfect opportunity. He does strike, takes down Shox, backs away, but he's lost control towards his right side. He needs to fall back now, and Titan once again just... The trades are always in their favor. Now, Edward has to rotate off B. They have to try and split up their numbers. He's still got Maniac testing the water over by that B side. This is always so tough for them.
Yeah, and he's actually spotted out Flamey. I'm surprised that he leaves the position because now he knew where Flamey was, to the point where he could have waited, had a teammate come over, they could have naded, done something to just remove Flamey.
And there we go. Edward tried to retake some control by long there, but RPK just finds him earlier on, and now Guardian has to be the last bastion of this A site. Three players encroaching towards him. He's going to have the chance towards the first. Once again, not hitting it, but hits it on the second time of asking. And that is brilliant from Guardian. Two back-to-back, leaving Flamey in this 1v2. But we know that he was on the other side here.
Yeah, already tagged up. No nades at all to use as well, and gets caught out by Maniac. So Titan, yeah, you know, not necessarily that they fooled anyone. They obviously rotated over towards the E-bomb site. That's kind of why Maniac bailed from and left Flamey to live for you know, a couple of another seconds. But they didn't really fool NaVi with what they were doing. They didn't get the rotation they wanted to because there were still two players from NaVi on that A-bomb site. Luckily for them, though, Guardian leg-shotting RPK once, and the fact that they do get the first frag once they commit to the A-bomb site.
And the MAC-10s are back out. Smith, Shox, and RPK fancy just, I don't know, raking up some money here, and why not? They know they're against a slightly weakened side. There is head armor and a lot of body armor going around for the CTs, but it doesn't really matter. Zeus has found Maniac, though. Smith leaps into the action quite literally and does at least find one there towards Flamey, as RPK did find the other. So it's a 3v2. Zeus has recovered the rifle. This is a little more dangerous than I can imagine Titan would have hoped for.
Oh, it definitely is. And, well, if Edward manages to get to Existence here, not going to happen, though. Su's still in a pretty decent position to pick up the bomb here before it makes it to the site, but...
Wow.
Mac 10 power.
Yeah, who needs a rifle when you can just give them a Mac 10 and they'll just go wild anyway. So 8-2 scoreline-wise, we saw NaVi taking that time out earlier. They're out of those options. Money's now pretty scarce. It's really not looking so good here. Titan are just looking like they're building confidence. You said that T-side, if it starts going well for them early, can really spiral. It can build into quite a big thing for Titan, and it looks like they've found that sort of form here early on. But what can NaVi do? With money so sparse, how do they make this work?
Well, right now they just have to, you know, bite that sour pill really and go for a full eco. They need weapons to actually fight Titan.
Simple as that. Flamey still doing work there, but you're not going to be able to achieve too much, as they've already singled out this B-side. Tell a lie, Guardian's found Smiths. It's a 3v3 now. RPK going to have to try and maybe take a more aggressive shot here, but Guardian's still challenging. These guys are fighting out, and Guardian's going to find RPK. I thought it was going to be a bit of a cakewalk, but no. NaVi doing some damage here, but Shox finding the perfect angle towards Seized as Edward and Guardian left in a dire predicament. Smoke in the way, and there we go. Nicely cleaned up in the end, Titan, but that got a little bit scary towards the end. They do manage to recover both of the AKs there, so not losing out on too much, but still, you don't want to start giving away even small things towards NaVi. If they smell a bit of blood in the water, they'll certainly go towards it. But once again, they're down a lot of rounds. They're back on the buy here. Not ideal. Guardian not be able to get the AWP in hand. Not the best utility. This is when they started to make the impact, but Titan just seem to be more and more confident these rounds go on.
Yeah, I think Titan have kind of fed off at the fact that NaVi have been doing a good job of actually dealing damage to Titan during these eco rounds and during these low economy buys. But, it's not far-fetched to say that they easily could have had a couple of more rounds. But Titan just barely eking it out each and every time, that's just going to boost your confidence to the fact that where you feel like, well, we can mess up as much as we want, but we're not actually losing rounds. We're kind of invincible right now.
Well, it's C's, I think, has been in a 1v1 2 times now, lost out on them both, and I think it was Shox being one of them, just that headshot on B, just claiming over that side. So, as you said, fairly close rounds, but close doesn't equate to a round at this point, and already 9-2, quite the daunting scoreline, but still, it's going to be Titan trying to take control on towards that B side. Existence does get the opener towards Zeus, but it's exchanged out, and now Edward just runs out of bullets there, just doesn't have the power to pull it through, and once again, the CT side left to rotate over. They're locked out of the bomb side. Bomb is going down. Good little bit of a flash coming over those doors, giving them a chance to get a foot in, but still, these 3 players, their position's known, but they're making it work here. Flamey, once again, doing damage. RPK down. Can they get any more? This would be sloppy if they do, and Shox and Existence now last 2 standing positions. Well-known, Flamey is doing everything he can, and he gets the 4th. Brilliant play coming out from Flamey, single-handedly bringing NaVi back into this game with a chance here.
Yeah, that was just amazingly done by Flamey, and definitely unexpected, because NaVi goes for the gamble with playing 3 people on that A-bomb site, which is, you know, definitely not the normal way of going about it. And in an afterplant like that, it should be really hard for NaVi to actually get into open spaces where they can, well, find easy picks.
Yeah.
But Flamey just doing work right now, and more or less willing NaVi into this.
Well, we're going to see Guardian back on the AWP. Hopefully we get to see him finally make a real impression here. You did say he's had a little bit of a quieter run of form, considering he has been arguably one of the best AWPers recently, you know, prior to this touch of a slump. It's always sad to see him being a little bit quieter, but still, once again, Maniac makes it out completely unscathed towards that platform. Let's get a little bit of a challenge from the Molly coming in. Gonna just tuck him in towards the corner, but no one's even spotted him out here, and Titan just rinse and repeat. It looks like they're being slowed down a touch by the utility. But Edward's just not finding anyone, sadly. They're just in the smoke, behind the box. Maniac's gone and found one of them. That's going to be Flamey down, the man who made such an impact before, and Titan just breaking the hell in. None of what NaVi is doing is making any sort of difference. Guardian and C's once again left out in the cold. It's just not going well for them.
It really isn't. And weirdly enough, like, when you end up in a situation like Titan does there, where you can get kind of bogged down at the plateau, oftentimes it's pretty easy pickings for the CTEs,
yeah.
But they just couldn't seem to find any sort of kill, and all of a sudden Maniac, who's basically been, you know, the target. Here we go. He might actually, okay, no, he might actually let him go, but kind of makes his presence announced, and well, now he's in a really rocky place.
Certainly is. Guardian got picked up at long and seized. About to be assaulted on all fronts here, left, right, and center, and it will be RPK to find him. So NaVi get away with absolutely nothing from that round. It's going to be devastating here for them, because they're back once again with no money.
It's the classic one, you know, win one, try to, you know, feel like you might have a chance to get back into this, and then you get instantly steamrolled the next round. And yeah, you can see that's been the story the entire game. So it's just been overall really rough. And, you know, barring that or eco win or force buy win after Titan won the pistol, everything's just been going downhill for NaVi.
They're finally in the right place, but I don't know about the right time here. Caesar's going to have to make this one a bit of a magical round, but none of that can be happening. Does get one on towards Smiths, but Guardian, what a shot there, finding RPK. Flamey's going to find Maniac, and they seem to do more work
with
on these,
pistols.
on these pistol rounds. I don't know how they manage it, but they do seem to catch off guard. Titan down to 2, Shox in existence, still standing, looking towards that A side. Bomb has crossed, but Zeus, perfect little bit of a tag towards Shox, getting him down so low here, but existence holding long, expecting a player to make their way forward, but no, the 2 players are already edging towards the site. He's gonna be on his own, he's gonna have to make the magic happen pretty damn fast, but no, here we go, 1v2, existence down to absolutely nothing. Molly's gonna come down. I don't know if they've got time for this. Oh my God, that is absolutely ingenious from existence. Edward's gonna go hunting, but there we go, Edward finds it, but time is of the essence. They do not have a kit, but they should have time for this.
Yeah, they should be fine. That got really scary for a second there. Precision throw from existence to make it land just outside of the smoke and get into that cubby.
But it just allowed him a second of a chance there. He was so low on HP.
Yeah, if you can get one of the 2 guys remaining from NaVi, then he can play cat and mouse from that point on. But it's like you said, NaVi are doing more damage with pistols than they are with actual weapons.
I can't believe it, and it must be gutting for them as well, knowing this factor. But maybe they just need to take a little bit of a touch of what they've been doing in those previous rounds, maybe get a little more aggressive, maybe push up a touch more. I don't know, but sitting back and being passive has just not really worked out for them, as we've seen time and time again on this B site. Edward is going to try and take some control here. Going to have to be a little bit cautious, though. That Molly in place. Titan taking their time. Normally when they know they don't get control of the platform, they've been focusing towards drop a fair bit, maybe trying to break through that way, and certainly single out Seeds if they do manage that, but still. Titan in no rush here.
No, they have all the time in the world right now, and they've already made NaVi use quite a bit of an, you know, a utility here towards the bomb side, so they're happy to just rotate around. They could feel pretty confident a rotation might happen, and here we go. C's getting caught off guard, very aggressive in mid, and well, Zeus has to find at least 2 frags here if he wants to hold it in place for NaVi.
Well, he does at least find Maniac. That's a small silver lining, because at least for now, Titan can't freely cross. They're going to be able to at least get some forces back for NaVi to try and deny the easy path through. But Guardian's going to find Shocks, and now RPK finally finds his form. He's going to get 2 down, open this one back up, but Edward's got himself in a great little spot here. He's gone around the back. He expected one to be to the right, but no, he picked up the first. Bomb was loose. Nade comes out. He does connect as well. And actually, he's going to maybe... Oh, he doesn't sneak through just yet. RPK's going to get through. Oh, Edward! Beautiful play coming out. That 1v3 should never have happened. But just perfect play, out-aiming RPK just brilliantly. And you just don't see that. That is something you do not see. And time again, we've seen, what, Flamey do it once now? And,
yeah.
and Edward pulling off? I don't know how the hell they're bringing these situations back into their favor. It just shouldn't happen.
Basically, the rounds NaVi have won have been ecos or, you know, a
Flamey
force
or
fight,
Edward.
or yeah, exactly. That's what they have to show for it. That's not really something you can be confident going into the next half, but we know that NaVi have a pretty good T side on Cbble. We know they're actually one of the teams that like going towards the A bomb side a lot more than B, because we've seen so many teams just, you know, bomb rush that plateau side and just brute force their way onto a site. NaVi, on the other hand, they like to slow things down, go towards A, have Guardian kind of scope out things with his op. But the question is if they're ever going to get to a point where they can actually have the economy to do so.
It's a big question, and I can imagine Time a little bit gutted about that final round. They could have done a little more with that one, but as you said, NaVi picking up rounds where necessarily they really shouldn't, and Guardian's going to kick this one off with a bang. Perfectly taking down Maniac, going to cause Shocks to kick into action to try and regain some control towards that A side, but not going to have the time, but he does buy a little bit for his teammates. Smith's going to find Zeus, peeks backs out, he knows where the bomb is as well, but it's going to be Existence to do the damage. Now, Flamey and Seized kind of locked in. They do have the bomb at least. They can back out of this and maybe readjust. There's still a minute on the board.
Yeah, no, that was just Titan doing a really good job of holding them back. Obviously just getting just enough picks all the time. And Smith gets caught out. That does give a bit of information for the French guys. But right now, NaVi are in a pretty good position to toy around with Titan.
Ooh, and wow, RPK getting the better of Flamey, even with that Tech 9 there. Just ducked under his view a little earlier on, but this may ring alarm bells that Seized was considering going up there, but we're going to find out if they keep that in mind, because this position was fairly unknown until right about then, but he gets the better of RPK. That's going to open things up again, but Existence position is a little unorthodox to say the least. He's around the back of them. There was a Tech 9 loose at some point, but doesn't opt for it. Going to stick with that P2K, and C's taking his time.
Yeah, he's expecting Existence to be at the B bomb side.
Oh, brilliant from Existence. Just took his time with that. Brilliant positioning to boot, and that's exactly what Time would want to start this second half off. Just 11-5 already, just taking any confidence away that NaVi might have built in those first couple of kills, maybe feeling a little bit better about it. And yeah, RPK and Existence being the top of the board, something you don't see all that often.
Up there, not something you've seen that often, but as of late, he's been playing better and better. RPK slowly showing that, you know, old glimpses of himself, you know, from what, especially us, we know him as back in Source.
If he ever finds that form. Well, it's the same with the whole of the Titan team to a degree. You know, you've got Shock still here. If you add that to the RPK of old, you've got a monstrosity of talent on that team that can just go off. But at the moment, let's see what they can achieve from this one.
Yeah, I think they're going to be in a pretty bad situation if they end up losing this round. It's like similar to what they did in the first half. I think that's going to be worse for them at this stage because it's so much more expensive being on the CT side. So they could end up in a bit of a pitfall like NaVi did.
4 SMGs though, 1 rifle. The rifle's in the hands of Existence. There's going to be Maniac and Shocks holding by long. Maniac holding a little closer, keeping Shocks' back tight here. It's going to be the perfect angle as well. He will manage to find Zeus. Expecting a little bit more pressure coming through them, but already Shocks around the back. This is going pretty damn a bit of a disaster for NaVi at this point, but Guardian's going to find Smiths. There we go. Flamey finds Maniac. This is better. They're starting to piece together all of the elements, but Shocks again lurking around perfectly. Didn't give away the game either. His position still completely unknown, and the amount of flank work we've been seeing coming in this event has been unreal. He will make the most of it, at least for a touch taking down Flamey, but you know, Get Right did it earlier to the absolute maximum, but now we're seeing someone like Shox playing off, but it is a 1v1.
No
C's,
armor on C's though.
but C's has the M4, he should be able to put this to use, but he's not gonna be able to. The spam coming out from Shox alone, and he does get it in the end. 9 seconds left, Titan. Push to the limits, and you said how dire that would be if they lost that. Economy-wise, it could have spiraled, and that could give Na'Vi the way back in. But they do close out the round, even if they did lose out on everything, barring one gun and one man.
Yeah, and you know, Na'Vi, they smell the blood in the water right now, so they just want to continue with the pressure. Titan, once again, they eke out a win where in a round where they should be able to build their economy. And you know, Na'Vi tried a very cute thing, buying in a Galil and then dropping it. But look at the tempo from Na'Vi coming in here.
All right, let's see if they can catch anything out. I think LPK has just stamped no on everything they just tried, being met by P90s, MP9s, and a whole lot of SMGs and bullets, leaving just Guardian standing. His position well and truly made aware of as he's trying to at least find one way out. He does take down Maniac with some style, but it doesn't matter. Titan make a hell of a lot of money and get another round on the board. This is looking very one-sided so far, and Na'Vi, once again, not great money here to work with.
Yeah, and again, they're chancing it. Similar to what they did in the Force Buy, instead of having everyone buying up with Tech-9s and armor, they dropped the Galil for Zeus, which left Cease without armor, which is why you saw that kind of bit of an awkward 1v1 versus Shox there. And again, dropping around weapons, Guardian actually dropping an AK off to Edward, so you can see he's only got a deagle, no armor, no nothing. So Na'Vi are basically banking their entire game on this.
And Edward, the one with the actual rifle, the AK, already getting tagged up by that molly. He's going to go down straight away to Smiths. This is going so badly wrong for Na'Vi. Cease is going to try and find a little bit of hope in this by finding at least one of the opponents, RPK, who's been a big factor here, but Smith's feeling confident. Why not? Flashes up, gets control. That's brilliant stuff from Smith. It's just showing how confident these guys are. Why not? Sadly for Na'Vi, they're in pieces right now, and Seized getting caught out through the smoke. Maniac gets flashed in. Sheer confidence, sheer brilliance from Titan, and look at this. Round the back we go. It's going to be Shox greeting them with a smile, and Titan taking it further. Na'Vi are in real dire straits here.
Yeah, no money, no bomb plant, no nothing really. Well, I guess if you want to look at the positives here, Na'Vi have done better with pistols in their hands than they have with rifles.
You're really finding a silver lining on it. You're trying to find a positive any way you can.
Yeah, you're really trying to have a positive outlook for Na'Vi here, but honestly, it's not looking great. And you can see again, Flamey with an AK, no armor, and well, Galils and Tech-9s galore.
It feels as though this might be the kind of road to the end for Na'Vi if they don't break the back somehow of Titan, who now have pretty much everything they need. Their economy's great. They have a lot of utility. They don't need to be too fast right now, but you don't want to give Na'Vi that little bit of glimmer of hope. We know what these guys can achieve individually. They've yet to have a round as a team, though, to come into their own. But it looks like they're slowing things down here.
And Na'Vi kind of going towards what we normally see from them, which is slow play with C is hanging out by the B-bomb site. He's just going to stay there pretty much the entire round while the rest work towards A, and eventually he's going to become the lurker that tries to mess up rotations for Titan. But all of this relies heavily on Na'Vi actually getting anything done in A-apps.
That's a big question as well, considering Maniac's the one who'll be waiting on the other side. Flamey's going to be edging his way forward, going to go for the peak there, but Maniac does come off the best there. Zeus finally breaks in with the Tech-9, but Shox so close behind, doesn't get the first shot either, it doesn't matter, he gets the double, switch up to the Deagle. He doesn't manage to make that one connect. Guardian just brute forces his way in towards it, but can't get through towards the site. Now just Seized alive. He does at least get the bomb, but he knows this one's going to be an uphill struggle. He has had some brilliant rounds before this, though, individually doing well, but can he do it again? He's going to get the first, that's RPK down, but expecting where these two players are going to be is going to be almost impossible. He almost got Smiths then, but it doesn't matter. As soon as he turned tail to run, Smith shut him down, and we are already on match point.
Yeah, and from this point on, it's kind of similar field as you saw with NV versus BP. Even though one team gets on a run like Invid did in their second half, you feel it's too late. It's too big of a gap for this, and I think that's the case for Na'Vi. I think it's too much of a deficit to actually come back from.
Well, it's the first time we've really seen them with maybe rifles, and you can see what they can achieve, don't get me wrong, you know. Guardian just pinned down Maniac as he went for the peak then, but it feels as though it's almost too late in the day for this. It feels like, you know, Na'Vi just didn't turn up today, or at least in this game, should I say, as they've finally got a little bit of work to do here and the tools to do it, but already Shox picking up that AWP, not going to find the shot there, opening things up again. Guardian's been doing great early work this round, but 3 players left standing. This could be at least some redemption for Na'Vi.
Yeah. Na'Vi are able to actually spread Titan out here, and even though they haven't committed to anywhere at all, Flamey just follows it up with a pick on to Smiths, and now, well, it's down to RPK in existence. Now it's all down to RPK with 8 HP, and there's no way he's actually going to be able to close this out for them.
No,
So
definitely not.
NaVi actually pick up a round. And,
A gun round?
Yeah, an actual rifle round. That's uncommon. That's not something we said a lot during this game.
And it's such a shame because when NaVi get going, they are such a beautiful team to watch in these sort of games, but they've just been having, you know, so many bad rounds. They've been picking up a couple of ecos here and there, but they're just not making it count when they needed to. Now Titan, on the other hand, still looking fairly good, and the Shox is going to be going once again for early shot. Going to get flashed out though. Has to back away. And both him and Maniac stacking out down here by that underpass towards that A site. And NaVi going pretty darn close here. No AWP in the hands of the opponents, but Guardian's doing so well with the rifle. I guess he doesn't need it just yet. Shox down to 17 HP. Glass Cannon's going to come out, but he's going to get picked up. Now Maniac has a hell of a lot to do, but he can't hold them back. Guardian again, 2 kills coming through, single-handedly doing so much damage for NaVi, but it's such a long road back here.
Yeah, and this round pretty much plays out identically to how the previous round went. Guardian fixing 2 frags on that A bomb site. Titan has to spread out. You could see how thinly they're spread right now. Only 1 guy towards B, so they're kind of banking everything on NaVi ending up towards A like they did last time around. But right now, this is you know, potentially a situation where Titan wants to save. Sure, they have a lot of rounds to play around with, but you don't want to play with fire.
Well, we saw how quickly it spiraled for NaVi on their CT side when money became an issue. So keeping hold of these 3 guns could be absolutely massive for Titan. Smith's is a little bit of a predicament, though. He's got 3 players around him. They've got 30 seconds for NaVi. They should be able to pull this one off fairly cleanly. I say that. There we go. Seized will find Smith. So that's the one player who was on B down and out now. And already missing out on one of those rifles for the Titan side is quite an issue. And you can see NaVi really running that clock down so late, trying to get themselves in a position maybe to catch out some of these remaining players.
Yeah, and I think they have a good idea of what's going on as well, especially with Edward kind of playing the role of the faker towards A there. So they know that they know the area where the 2 remaining Titan members are going to be, and already both of them Titan members have been found. Existence yet to die as of now, and he's actually doing a pretty good job of holding Titan NaVi members back. So this could get really expensive for NaVi.
It really could, and you can see that Edward then just slowed down as such. Guardian's going to make the peak with Existence again. Nicely done. Couldn't do it all, sadly. He will finally go down to Edward, but we are seeing Existence playing very well, but it doesn't seem to matter for, you know, Titan overall. Everyone's having a good game here. RPK sitting up on almost top. I think 24 kills. I think he is actually almost the top of the scoreboard. So big game for him, but they're on match point here. They're almost to the point where they're going to face Fnatic in their next game. Another tough opponent, of course. Probably one of the toughest, you'd argue. But for NaVi, they've started to build. It's a long way back. They should be able to get this round. But then again, it just feels like they can't do anything with...
It's still a mountain.
Yeah.
And, well, a bit of a stack from Titan coming over here towards the B bomb site, and NaVi doing kind of a similar thing to Titan. They're just kind of running in blind.
Oh my god, Existence as well did find one. I started to get a little nervous then, but at least Edward and C's kick into gear. Don't allow any troubles to come into place. After watching NaVi get so many close ecos against the other team, or at least kind of, you know, just, you know, this little cheeky pistol buyouts with the CZs and such, it does get a little nerve-wracking, but still. Edward will eventually find Shox. Bomb will go down, and NaVi putting up a little bit of bank, but that was, you know, resounding noise of match point against you does start getting a little bit devastating after a while.
I do think you get tired of listening to that sound.
It's a horrible noise, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like over and over again. It's like, it's all right, I know.
You don't need to remind me. But now they're up against a board-up Titan. This is the first time we can see kind of these 2 teams on these, you know, gun rounds on this side at least. And I'm not sure what to make of it. NaVi really have to be so careful.
Yeah, and you can tell they're playing really passively towards it. They're expecting, you know, Titan to do something aggressive at the beginning, maybe push up aggressively with an op in mid, like Shoxy's tried to do a couple of times. And there are actually 3 people towards A. This is a big stack from Titan.
Oh, but now will NaVi expect anyone else here to be on long? That's the question. There's going to be the flash coming through. I don't think they can expect Maniac. If anyone baits out for him, he can have the chance, but no. Edward's going to come in, find Maniac. Now, Existence, sure, it's unorthodox, but they're still checking it. They're still thinking, you know, why was Shox and Maniac here? Is there anyone else waiting? And yes, there's Existence. He's going to find Zeus. Backs out at least, tries to even up a little closer. But NaVi haven't really gone towards the side just yet. They've certainly weakened A, though.
Actually, this feels very similar to what we've seen in the previous buy rounds, because NaVi get 2 frags, Titan have to spread out, and NaVi just slow everything down and just play it calmly.
And it's working out brilliantly now.
Oh, yeah.
Seized does find RPK. Existence, last man standing, 1v4. We've seen a few of them today already, at least in this game. I don't want to say too much, but he is down to, you know, half HP. He doesn't have the head armor to work with either, and 0 utility. So it might be a little bit of a stretch here, and Seized might be at least under pressure now. He does get picked up.
He's going to opt to save.
Yeah,
or no, is he? Oh, he's trying to make
He's got
this
a kit
as
as
expensive
well.
as possible for NaVi.
And he's making it certainly a little more pricey. That's 3 in the bag for him this round. Faking out a little.
Yeah, he's just using all the tricks.
Try and do anything he can, any chance. He's down so low, he has to get the advantage in some aspect. And sadly for him, Guardian knows all the tricks in the book. He's going to find him eventually and keep the 2 remaining weapons there in the hands of NaVi. And it's round by round, brick by brick here for NaVi. It can't slip at any point. That's the biggest issue. There's no room for errors. It's always possible. There's nothing saying you can't come back from someone being on match point against you. There's nothing there. It's just the fact you cannot make one singular mistake. And well, looking at Titan, they don't have a great deal to work with. No armor to be seen, just the pistols.
Yeah. And what's really been the downfall of Titan on their CT side so far is the fact that their aggression has not paid off at all in any of the rounds, really. At best, they've gotten a 1-for-2 trade, which is obviously not something you want to come out of. So, I don't know, like for Titan to maybe, grab that last match point, they kind of have to slow things down.
Let's see if they can slow down in their gun rounds. Something that we haven't seen just yet, at least when they had real weaponry in hand. Now they've got the pistols, P250s, 5.7s, flash with existence, but that's about it. But it looks like the bomb's heading over towards A. There is one player pushed up by Long.
And I like this really like this from NaVi, using Molotovs to just clear out any sort of icky position that could potentially mess you up badly.
It's so worthwhile at this point, especially when you have to be so cautious, but Maniac getting a little close for comfort there. Guardian does go down to his hand, but it's a 4v3. They should not allow anyone else to pass here. There should be no more deaths on the board. And there we go, Edward just spraying wildly towards the smoke while flash. At least we'll find Smiths as existence now, last man standing. He's once again going to try and make it expensive, but there's only so much one man can do here with one pistol.
Yeah, and also the fact that, like I said, the money isn't really that important for NaVi, seeing how if they lose a round,
it's done.
Yeah, it's going to be done. But obviously, you don't want to get to the point where you have to buy Galils and that type of thing because you're just barely scraping by in every round. So stacking up that, having the potential to get Guardian a new op every time he dies, that type of thing, that's going to be big for them. And you can see, yeah, even though Existence has done his best, to try to decrease the bank size, really, of NaVi, it's not really working out. You can see Edward sitting on 10K, and that's after dropping weapons.
And credit to Edward, having a good game himself, not shying away at all in this one. But this is going to be a fairly well brought up Titan this time. We're going to have Shocks with the orb down by Long. This is a 4-man stack towards B coming out from Titan. This is a little different here. They haven't done this on a full buy yet.
Yeah, this is the first time Shocks is being left alone. And I think that's mainly because he has an op, so he has the potential to play, somewhat aggressively, be the kind of the first point of contact for NaVi, and then just fall, back into, first by the stairs, then stay on top of the site, watch down towards middle, that type of thing. Like, he can stop NaVi at several instances. So that allows NaVi, or Titan, to play with one guy there. And there we go, on top of the roof, picking off in mid.
That's not what any NaVi fan would want to see there. Guardian going down, who's been brilliant at opening up these rounds, picking up 2 kills time and time again towards A, but Maniac now starting to get that control by Long, at least peeking into it, maybe looking to regain a little of this map, because they've lost a lot of control here. They do have that one player on towards B by the platform, but Smith's coming over as well. They're starting to get a good idea of what's going on.
Ooh, did Maniac see that?
I don't think he saw him in the end. If he did, he might have acted on that a little sooner. There's 2 players there now. Great little pop flash comes in from the back lines. Will allow him to find Edward. I don't know if he knows Zeus and the others are still residing here. Shocks catches a glimpse of one. Now they know the plan is up. NaVi have to make this work. They're down to 2 players, and Flamey's coming alive. That's 2 down. 3 left standing. Smith's in a perfect little spot at the back here. Gonna make him buy time, gonna slow him down. RPK watching the cross. None of this is gonna be pleasant for NaVi. And there we go, Smiths makes the peak. Flamey's still alive, but it's Smiths to close it down for Titan. They're gonna pick up the victory in the end. NaVi just crumble under the pressure, sadly. And well, Titan having a good game there. We saw them really showing what they're made of in this one.
Oh yeah, that was definitely, I guess, what we want to see from Titan. Still think there's a lot to be done with their CT side.
There's a lot to be seen, yeah.
Yeah, but their T side was definitely really, really good. I want to say that that's not the NaVi that I expected to see. I think they kind of dug their own grave, and Titan was willing to help out with that, obviously. But great to see Titan not ending up in disappointment once again.
Yeah, they've shown that potential is there. RPK having a big game as well. It's always enjoyable to watch that man having a great performance himself individually. But looking on the other side of things, they're going to face Fnatic next. Now, that's a task to anyone. There's no disputing that. No one wants to face Fnatic, even if they've already lost out today to a previous team. It doesn't mean you feel any better about facing those boys. That's going to be a tough task, but it will be tomorrow, of course. There's a little bit of time to prepare for these guys. Maybe go back, think about the matchup coming. But for NaVi, not exactly the best display again on Cbble.
No, it's not what they wanted to showcase, and that's unfortunate. But like you said, I guess it might have been for the best, given how they are going up against. If they would have won, they would have been going up against Fnatic, and that's going to be a pretty tough task in itself.
It certainly is, but I can see people waiting on the stage. Let's hear from the players themselves with Sean on the stage.
Thank you so much, Lauren. I am joined by Macho. Maniac, how are you doing, sir?
Pretty fine. I'm very good.
Now, you've got to be feeling pretty good after that. That was a good win. All as planned?
Well, I think the T side was a little bit easier than what we expected. But in my perspective, Cobblestone is a very like steamroll map, like momentum-based. If you can win like one strategy, then you have the counter strategy to use, and then. So I think we won the important rounds. They had to eco. Maybe we won like 4 or 5 anti-eco. So I think that explained how we got 10 rounds ST.
Well, you played phenomenally. Now, of course, we know Fnatic is waiting for you guys. Is that something that plays in at all, or you're just, hey, go home, chill out, enjoy this?
Well, I think the first challenge for us was to survive NaVi. They beat us quite frequently. They beat us at Gaming Paradise and stuff. So we were not really thinking about Fnatic. We just wanted to win that match. Now it's done. And now we are given a chance to play a best of 3 against Fnatic. So just enjoy it, take the best out of it. And if we can upset them, then we are totally fine.
Now, Alex and Moses were talking during the game about some of the roster changes that you have. How have they been playing out for you?
Well, I think that, and maybe we can see that with the result, we are slowly but surely finding our way. We are figuring out how to use the players. We've been adjusting a lot. And now we are finding a little bit more consistency in our results, but we are totally not where we want to be. But I think we are in a good way, and it took more time than Envy. I think Envy has had like directly very good results, and I congratulate them for that. But I'm really happy that now we are starting to feel the game and feel the strategy that we like, the setups that we like. So we just have to work that way, and I don't know where we can end.
Now, I have to ask the question, of course, a lot's been made of this crowd being here, in this very unique setting. How have you been enjoying Dubai so far?
Well, to be really honest, it's like a dream. It's like you're not supposed to have buildings that high just next to you, and you're not supposed to see that, and that's the hotel and stuff. So I'm just like daydreaming, walking, seeing stuff, not really understanding what I'm seeing. My brain is like, are you sure it's that hotel? Are you sure it's that high? So it's just pure pleasure. People are really nice. The venue here is beautiful, so I hope we can enjoy that as long as possible.
Well, we absolutely love having you, as always. The fans love having you. I'm sure that the guys are going to have plenty to discuss over at the analyst desk, and of course, that's with you, Machine.
Things starting to come together for Maniac there, a smile on his face as, of course, the real challenge that is Fnatic does lie in their tracks, but it does seem like that in itself was an achievement for them. And the first point we have to make is Mr. Moses sitting at 100% success rate with your, is it 2 calls you've made so far?
2 for 2.
2 for 2. We'll take that. It's better than your 1 for 1, 100%.
Yeah, doubled it.
So, I mean, you called it. You said, Titan, we're going to pick up that win. Not everyone would have agreed with you before that game went on. So can you maybe just kind of say what was going on in your mind when you made that call?
Well, I mentioned it before the match started that I just think that NaVi hasn't been playing up to their level, and they strike me very much so as being very similar to the situation that Cloud9 finds themselves in, where they had that very brief period where they were, world beaters. They were at the top of their game, and they were winning all these matches. They were, they won ESWC. They've played well, and now they're just kind of in this slump right now. And I don't know what it's going to take for either of those teams really to get out of it. But something's obviously not clicking for them. Where just recently it seemed fine. It seemed perfect, and it's just kind of surprising.
Yeah, and it's all about that honeymoon period, like you're saying. Like when Flamey joined the team, they were performing really well. And I remember back before the major started, they actually had to take a break from their boot camp because their frustrations were running really high. They were getting really annoyed with each other. So it takes some time to themselves to really figure out what they need to do coming into the major. And it seems like those problems are sticking around since then.
Yeah, kind of at each other's throats. I think I was kind of gripped to this 20-minute vlog as Zeus did, where you just made it clear.
Yeah, and just to build on that, one of the things that does, and it's one thing that I've noticed with NaVi is, you know, we just saw Fnatic on Dust 2 against TSM go down 8-0 and make this comeback. NaVi is a team, when you see them get beat up early on, you don't, I mean, they don't recover from it. And part of that is possibly some of that internal strife, you know, whether it's bad attitudes, whether it's losing focus, whatever it might be. I mean, there was a match they played TSM this morning, or not TSM.
Fnatic.
Fnatic, yeah.
On Overpass.
Oh, no, TSM, yeah, so TSM played NaVi on Overpass, then we had Titan play against Fnatic on
Yeah, when
Cbble.
NaVi and TSM were playing, and there was just, it was so early on in the match, and I saw, you know, NaVi won the first gun round, and then TSM responds, wins the next one. They're down like 4-1, 5-1 really early on, and I'm just like, NaVi lost. Too hard to recover from that. And Maniac mentioned it. Cobble's a map that he feels is very momentum-based. You can steamroll on that map, and you saw it on that T side. They steamrolled him for a good period of time, and now NaVi was able to get those 5 rounds, but just not enough.
And, you know, we were talking a little bit about, you know, about how, you know, the bad stuff for NaVi. We should talk about the positives for Titan. You know, we talked, or Sean talked to Maniac saying, you know, how's the team really been progressing together, synergizing well? And he said, you know, it's really starting to pick up. You're starting to see good results. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about as we cut off before the game, is the whole Shox RPK combo. You know, having a partner for Shox to work together to hit these sites. You know, Shox is starting to be, gets a little bit more comfortable. He finally has the drive again, which is really important to have as a player if you want to be successful. And then helping bring RPK up to his level. I mean, the thing is, RPK is a strong player, so it's not like bringing it up to his level, but bringing out the potential that he had back in Source into CSGO.
Right, and it's yeah, and they all played well. I mean, and Maniac mentioned it. They're adjusting a lot. You know, they're kind of going on the fly right now. They're figuring out what's working and what's not, and all of them had some good rounds in that tournament, and a lot of it was helped on teammate. You saw Maniac on that very last round playing very aggressive and very close over towards those A tunnels and waiting for a pop flash from his teammate, you know, making sure he's peeking with it. They're obviously communicating very well, so they're improving every time we've seen them. It's just how high is that ceiling going to go? Because that's the question. I mean, you look at how these roster changes panned out. NaVi got all the talent and those changes. That team is stacked on talent.
It's terrifying.
And Titan's going to have to do it in a different way because they don't have that 5-man top-to-bottom talent. They're going to have to do it tactically.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you ask about that ceiling. That ceiling may very well may be reached with their next game up against Fnatic. It is a best of 3, and I think Maniac made it clear that the opportunity to play Fnatic in a best of 3 in any scenario is great for them. You just said that they are working on building that up. Seeing them in a best of 3 will be a good building block for them, come win or lose. But we have already said goodbye to 2 teams in this tournament. We now wave goodbye to NaVi as well, of course, losing Cloud9 earlier on in the day. Apologies to both of you. I realize that that's going to be a little part of your heart.
The eagle inside me just cried a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So we still have 6 left, but saying goodbye to Cloud9 and NaVi has already suggested that this is going to be one hell of an event. 2 teams you wouldn't necessarily have called, being the first 2 eliminated. So already a couple of surprises potentially here in Dubai. It's been a fantastic first day for the ESL ESEA Invitational, and I think a quick shout out to our sponsors that have made this possible is most definitely necessary. It's going to be down to Dubai Tourism, ENG, Sennheiser, and of course Do as well. But before we do go, I think we have to quickly remind you what's going to be going on tomorrow, which is going to be a real exciting day, starting a little earlier than before, starting this time at 12:15 local time. So, you know, Google that, work out where that is for you, because this is a worldwide thing now, esports. So do be sure to check it out. 12:15 local time, and we're going to be kicking off with the Group A side of things. So that's going to be fantastic. So do be sure to set those alarm clocks early. I know we all are going to be doing the same. Moses, sorry you don't get your 7 p.m. wake up or whatever it was you were planning on doing.
It's going to be rough. It's tough.
He was going to
life.
go see the entirety of Dubai. Now you've got to do your job.
I was going to go water jetpacking tomorrow morning.
You can water jetpack?
Yeah, I was going to do it. Not anymore.
Okay, so no water jetpacking. We're going to be seeing you guys bright and early tomorrow afternoon because it's bright and early in gamer time, and we'll see you then.